A new trials revealed that banning smartphones from classrooms measurably improves pupils' grades. The trial, which involved nearly 17,000 students, showed that those who'd handed in their phones before lessons began performed better academically. In the UK, mobile phone ownership begins early, with 1 in 5 children, would you believe this one, aged 3 or 4 years old, having their own mobile phone. By the time they reach 11, 9 out of 10 children has a smartphone. So maybe you think it is time to bring about a total ban of phones in schools. Do you think this would improve performance? Or in a modern world, do you feel it's essential that every child trots into the classroom holding their smartphone? Let's start with Linda. What do you think on this one?
Well, I do think it should be banned. I think let teachers teach. They have a hard enough job as it is. And I think those phones are distractions in the classroom. I mean, when my daughter's now 32, so she was never part of that school age where they were taking phones in. She didn't have a phone until, I don't know, she was a young teenager. But I think what I'm hearing is it's very disruptive. Kids are not focused. They're not applying themselves to that lesson. Teachers are exasperated. They've got a huge job to do. Let them teach our kids and let discipline happen in the classroom, because those lessons that the kid learned will take them through their life. You know, they don't need the distraction of social media or whatever they're doing on their phones. I can't imagine what they're doing, actually.
Or just checking in the way that we all do. Afua, you're the one with the school-aged girl. I mean, we know what our phones are like in our own lives. They sort of hover just outside your consciousness, just there.
Yeah, all the time.
And at every X number of minutes, you feel you've got to have... I never know whether... Am I expecting a call from Hollywood to star in a film opposite Brad Pitt? You know, what do I think I'm missing if I don't look? But it's something, because I do look. I do look. I'm powerless, it feels, to resist this looking. Even when you're sitting in a film or cinema, you're thoroughly enjoying the film, it's dark, you definitely shouldn't look. Comes a moment where you just think, I'll just check. I don't know what you're checking. So you can't really expect children to resist the thing that is inbuilt into the phones to make sure we're always looking at them the whole time.
Well, this is the thing, is that I think that kids should be able to have... I like the idea of my daughter having her phone on the way to school. When she gets to school, everybody should have their phones in. Now, I know that's probably a lot of admin for the teachers to collect everybody's phones. I don't think they should be in bags or lockers. I think they should be locked up by the school, because they don't need them in school. And then everybody is on a level playing field. Nobody has their mobile phone. Nobody is distracted. Focus on class. You get it back at the end of the day. That's how I think it should work.
And how is it for your daughter at the moment? Does she just have it in her school bag or something?
She has it in her locker.
Right.
She can look at it. I always say to her, don't, because I will find out. I won't find out. I don't have a way of finding out. But she doesn't know that. Yeah. So I always say to her, if it comes out of your locker, I'm going to see it moving around school and I'm going to know. Yeah. And I think that's worked so far. But I don't mind her having it on the way home from school, because there's times she's had to call me to say, you know, the bus is running late, so I'm going to be a bit late, or, you know, can I do this after school, or, you know, basketball practice has been rescheduled, or it's going to be longer, or whatever. So I don't mind being in contact with her at the beginning and the end of the school day, but she doesn't need it during the day.
Cosmo, what do you think?
Well, it's hard to believe there was a time when we all went to school without phones and somehow we survived and carried on with our lives and did exams and passed. I think the best argument is there are enough diversions in the class, enough distractions with your friends and everything that's going on, the gossip and everything. Phones are another one. And I also think it's good for kids to be separated from their phones. I think we're too fixated. And by the way, I think this is true of adults as well. I think maybe in workplaces we should put phones away and start talking to each other a bit more.
I did that thing this morning where you're walking along the corridor at work, just staring at your phone, you slap bang into somebody else who's doing exactly the same. And I was just I said, I'm so sorry. And this person said to me, and I'm sorry.
We're too dependent. I just want to check something.
Hang on, wait a minute. Let me just check mine. And mine's just under the cushion. Here's mine. It's just under the cushion here, where I hide it during the show and occasionally have a... You know, it's ridiculous.
It does stop communication, doesn't it? It does stop the art of conversation. And we hear constantly that children have got anxiety issues, there's ADHD. No wonder, because the phone is really quick and smart and it's engaging, and they've got all our algorithms and they're putting out the content that we want to look. For kids, I think that's enormously destructive. They forget how to communicate. You know, maybe, you know, I've seen kids, I'm sure everybody on this table has. You know, someone can be talking on their phone to the person that's sat next to them, but they're communicating by phone. You know, that happens a lot.
But then it's also up to parents to be able to, we need to police what our kids are doing on their phones, especially when they're under 18. You know, you don't just give a young person a phone and that's it. You know, you still have to be across what they're looking at. What are they doing? How much screen time they are spending on that phone. We also have to take that responsibility.
But maybe it would be great if the school stepped in and said there are no phones at all in any classroom during the school day. If you want to bring it, hand it in, and we give it to you at the end. It can't be that complicated or expensive to distill. They're quite small, for God's sake. Let's get, and also this has been going on forever, this conversation. And you feel as if there's been prevaricating and you feel as if there's hesitation. But why? Why don't they just say, right, no phones during the school day? Let's talk to Victoria and Devon about this. Victoria, how do you feel about phones at school?
It's echoing. Sorry.
By all means, tell me, because I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I think absolutely not. Like when it comes to phones, like I've got a child. He is only 4, and there's a significant difference between how he is in my household and when he's with his father, and given he's telling me about like a mobile phone and actually like picking a mobile phone up or pretending, to hold a mobile phone. I just think, well, you're literally 4 years old, and I think like we don't go back to how we were brought up. When, like, I'm only 41, but like I just think it's. I know, like that. Yes, they put things like ADHD and but I just don't think. I maybe I'm old school, but I just don't believe that a child needs a mobile phone in any way, shape or form.
All right, Victoria, thank you very much.
Especially
Let's talk to Matilda. She's in Aberdeen. How do you feel about mobile phones in the classroom? And we know that what Afua says, very important to know that her daughter's safe on the way home from school, on the way to school, so that's all right. But while she's at school, let her focus on her work and her friends and her life and herself, really. What do you think?
I actually have like mixed opinions about this because I think that phones could be very beneficial, especially if they're like allowed in a classroom, for example, with kids who are struggling to focus or concentrate. They could listen to some music on their phone, and if the teacher allows, they can like Google things that they're like struggling with. So I agree with that to an extent, but then I also believe that phones like can be very distracting and all that stuff. See, I just left school. I'm 21 years old.
Right.
And when I was in school, a lot of people were using their phones like for social media and all that stuff. So. And
Matilda, would they be using them? Would they be using them in the lesson? So you're all sitting in a history class, for example, and your fellow pupils are looking at phones and looking at social media in the actual classroom during a lesson, or not?
Yeah. A few people would, and myself included. That's why I'm saying like it can be very distracting, but if used for the proper reasons and all that stuff, it can be actually very beneficial.
But at school,
but I just think it's hard to get children to concentrate on like the task at hand instead of getting distracted by other things.
Well, absolutely. But when you were in class and you're having a quick look at your phone to have just check up on social media, number one, you must have known you weren't supposed to do that. Number two, did you really feel, Matilda, that you just could not resist the urge until break? You couldn't just wait another 27 minutes and then have a look. It must have been an overwhelming desire because you could have got into trouble for it, couldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. And a few of us did. Like, that's the thing. It's hard to get children to concentrate on the actual subject when they have a phone in front of them, even though like if a teacher can be like, only use your phone to Google like answers to the question or whatever, but children will go on social media. That's just how it is.
But not if they haven't got the phone. If they haven't got the phone, then they won't do it. Let's ask Afua what she thinks.
And also in classes in my daughter's school, they have iPads and things like that, which only have certain apps. Like they have a search engine and maybe some of the apps that they use to learn on, which you can Google stuff and find out the information. They can use that to do that. There's absolutely no need to have your mobile phone out in class. But also, what was that teacher doing? Or just go on your phone to Google the answer. Why are you Googling the answer, number one? And number two, why are you encouraging them to do it on their phones? That shows a teacher that's lost control of the class, I think.
The teacher. Remember the days when we would ask the teacher if we had a question and they
the teacher should have the answer.
They would have an answer, or they would refer you to an exercise book. I guess those days are gone.
And what's interesting with Matilda there, she was saying her 4-year-old has a phone. Now, I mean, I know things are changing and the world is a fast changing pace. My daughter's just given birth to a baby, and
I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Very proud grandma. What's the baby's name?
Basil.
Oh, how delightful.
Or Basil.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
So she's in France, and so as she was coming out of hospital with the baby, her and her partner, the last thing she was reminded of was her social care there. She said, Jess and JB, her partner, would you just promise me one thing? Just one thing. I'm just going to leave this in your ears as you leave this clinic. Would you please not show your child, your baby and your small child, a screen until they are 5?
Well, that looks
like
fantastic advice.
That was in France.
Lots of people watching will just think that's impossibly difficult. Nobody does that.
But it's the right kind of sentiment, isn't it? And I know Jess, with the new baby, she was very careful not to, take pictures when she was with the baby right here. And it will be difficult when he's 1, 2, and definitely 4. But it's the right kind of message to be given a young mum, I think.
Yeah.
That they're not great.
The scariest sights I see now a lot these days is when the mom or the dad hands the baby the phone.
Yes.
Puts it in her hand, cultivates the dependency on the phone because, the baby just can't look around and expand the imagination naturally.
Yes.
And what will happen to that child? Is that child ever going to read? Take the effort?
It's becoming absolutely the norm, though.
And it's how we learn.
You look around you and everybody in the whole family, including the baby, is focused on a device. And the more normal it seems, the more normal it is.